I am Scarlett, a 37-year-old woman who does not have any children and works as a homemaker. Today marks our 5th wedding anniversary, and it is also my husband Everett's birthday, who happens to be the same age as me. Everett is an attractive salesperson at a well-known company and appears to be quite successful, although he often works late and entertains clients, resulting in us not spending much time together. Our wedding was a simple ceremony held on a weekday with close family and a few friends, as we both had weekend jobs and struggled to find a suitable schedule. It was Everett's strong desire to have it this way. So for our anniversary and his birthday, I requested that he come home early. I even took a half day off from work. I purchased his favorite Wagyu steak, wine, and cake from a department store and prepared a tastefully set table. I waited patiently for him to come home, but despite my insistence on his early return, he did not show up. I received a solitary email stating that he had urgent work and would be staying at the office. Although disappointed, I understood that it was due to work obligations. I cleaned up the dinner and went to bed, feeling slightly skeptical as he had mentioned earlier that he wasn't too busy. The following morning, I went to work as usual and my messages to his phone went unanswered. He did not respond to my calls either. Worried, I decided to contact his office and was shocked to discover that he had resigned the previous day and apparently secured a job in a neighboring region. I had not been informed about any of this. Frantically, I rushed home and noticed his shoes at the entrance. I burst into his room, filled with surprise, and found him packing his belongings in a suitcase. I couldn't help but ask, "What is happening?" In my astonishment, I opened my mouth to speak. With a wide-eyed expression, I inquired of him and he responded, "What? Have you already figured it out?" As he clicked his tongue and handed me the divorce papers. "What is happening?" With an icy gaze, he repeated my question and declared, "Let us end our marriage." "Why? For what reason? I am tired of you neglecting your duties as a spouse. You prioritize work, neglect cooking, only do laundry once a week, and the room is always dusty. I do not desire a wife like that. Hold on a moment. For the past 2 years, I prepared dinner and waited for you. However, you always claim to have eaten and refused to partake. That is why I stopped cooking. Nevertheless, it is a wife's responsibility to cook and wait. Furthermore, your culinary skills are abysmal, so I started eating out. In the early stages of our marriage, he used to praise my cooking. I trembled at the sound of his cold voice and argued that we had agreed when we got married that I would handle the laundry and cleaning on my days off, Wednesdays and Thursdays. Yet he simply rolled his eyes and retorted, "So I am supposed to tolerate a filthy room from Friday to Tuesday? That is ridiculous. What has come over you all of a sudden? I never anticipated that you would not quit your job even after 5 years of marriage." When I received a job offer, I believed it was a favorable opportunity. A favorable opportunity for divorce? Everett never voiced any complaints about my work or housekeeping, and there were no indications that he desired a divorce. Well, you never noticed how dissatisfied I was. I do not want a wife like that. I have rented an apartment near my new job, so I will not be returning to this room. With those words, he pushed me aside. I found myself standing in front of the entrance, clutching my suitcase. I stood there in disbelief, unable to comprehend what had just transpired. A week later, I found myself attending a high school reunion. I wasn't particularly in the mood to go, but I had already paid the membership fee and hadn't been able to get in touch with Everett since our encounter. Each day, frustration consumed me, so I figured it might be a refreshing change of pace. As I arrived, I noticed that among my classmates were divorced individuals and single mothers, all leading vibrant lives. Until then, my only hope was to mend things with Everett. However, upon reflection, I realized that if we were to reconcile, I would have to follow him to his new place of employment. In that scenario, it would be impossible for me to continue working at my current job due to the daily commute. despite it being in the neighboring prefecture. On the other hand, after dedicating 17 years to my profession, after graduating from junior college and earning a decent salary, it would be nearly impossible to maintain the same level of income in the new location. Everett had completely rejected me, and I started contemplating whether it was time for me to give up as well. The final blow came in the form of a phone call from Everett, urging me to move. We had been living in a rented apartment with Everett as the tenant. The lease renewal period was approaching, and it seemed that the real estate agent had contacted Everett. I informed them that we would be moving out within a month, requesting them to clear out everything by then. "I'm still living here, and you didn't consult me at all," I complained to Everett. I responded, "I am the individual who is currently renting this place. I do not require your consultation," in a confrontational manner. I soon realized that my efforts were futile and reluctantly said, "All right, I will clean up my belongings either this weekend or the following weekend. Please remove not only your belongings, but also everything else in my room, including the furniture." I was infuriated when I heard this. "What are you talking about?" I exclaimed. "You originally rented this room when you were single, and most of the furniture has been in use since then. Additionally, you purchased the majority of the other furniture and appliances with your credit card. I will dispose of the furniture and appliances that I primarily used, but naturally, you are responsible for disposing of the remaining items and covering the associated costs." When I conveyed this message, he abruptly ended the call. What a miserly man, taking only his precious possessions and leaving all the cleaning up to me. This incident solidified my determination to divorce him. During the weekend, I sorted through the closet, reminiscing about the happy times we had shared since our marriage. Among the various items belonging to both myself and Everett, I stumbled upon his high school graduation album. It occurred to me that all of the friends Everett had introduced me to were from his post-college years. Absent-mindedly, I began flipping through his graduation album, and that's when I made an unexpected discovery. I proceeded to submit the divorce papers and notified Everett of my decision via email. A week later in the evening, I received a response from Everett, which included a picture. The picture depicted a marriage registration form was presented to him and a lady. I was amazed and gazed at it when he contacted me. "Did you witness it? What does this signify?" "It is precisely as it appears. I recently had a wedding ceremony and remarried that lady." "You're joking. She's incredibly attractive, affluent, and possesses a remarkable character. She proposed to me immediately after our divorce. This serves as evidence. Isn't it remarkable? So while we were married, you were being unfaithful to me? I am well-liked, unlike you, who solely relies on your job. Oh, by the way, her father constructed a house for us on their land, and with his assistance, I relocated to her hometown. It's a medium-sized corporation, but I hold an executive position." Everett must have truly desired to boast about remarrying his wealthy affair partner. But as he casually responded, a strong anger welled up within me. He claimed there was an issue with me and divorced me, but in reality, it was to marry his affair partner. He stated that they had been dating for over 2 years. They met at a bar with his colleagues, and she was one of 4 women seated at the adjacent table. Apparently, when Everett spilled his drink on his clothes, she wiped it off, and that's how their conversation began. "Man, she is the same age as you and me, but she is incredibly attractive and appears to be 10 years younger. She swiftly cleaned my clothes with a lovely handkerchief." According to Everett, when he took her to a restaurant to express his gratitude, he discovered that she was a daughter of landowners. Her parents had arranged her marriage, but she was troubled the woman was deeply hurt by her spouse's unfaithfulness. After expressing her desire to improve her flaws, she underwent a complete transformation. "She is completely different from you," he remarked. He admitted to being instantly captivated by her and aggressively pursued her. Despite still being married, she began dating Everett. Is it not normal to question the loyalty of a woman who dates two men while claiming to be devoted to her husband? However, Everett, blinded by love, failed to notice. A woman who does not support her partner is not desirable. You prioritize work and neglect your husband. You are not suitable for me, he declared. Surprised, I couldn't help but raise my voice in response. What? You cannot stand on your own, so you expect me to support you? Everett also seemed annoyed, stating, I am relieved to finally be free from a woman like you. Stella is truly the best. Stella? Is that her name? I inquired. Yes, it means double flower in the characters used for writing, just like the double cherry blossoms that were in full bloom when she was born. Her parents have a great sense of naming. They are well-known figures, Everett explained, his voice filled with enchantment as he spoke of her unique name. As I listened, a memory resurfaced. Did you truly marry such a remarkable woman? You're not lying, are you? I pretended to ask, causing a blow to Everett's pride. She is the best wife, coming from a prestigious family and possessing a wonderful personality. Just look at her graceful beauty, he boasted. As expected, he sent me a picture of their wedding. Unable to contain myself, I burst into laughter. What is so amusing? He questioned. This serves as proof that we indeed got married, I replied sarcastically. Of course, it's authentic. I couldn't help but chuckle, finding myself unable to contain my laughter. Hey, please stop laughing, he said. We actually got married, and she's pregnant. I couldn't believe it. What? No way. I continued to laugh. I understand now. Losing me must have driven you mad, he said, interpreting my laughter in a way that suited him. Dreamily, he added, in 3 months, we'll have a baby girl. She'll surely be as lovely as Stella. Well, even if she takes after you instead, she'll still be beautiful, I replied. Everett had a charming and handsome face, almost like an idol. For some reason, he seemed a bit flustered and said, no, she doesn't have to resemble me. Hearing this, I burst into laughter once again. Everett sighed and said, go on, laugh all you want. Goodbye, before hanging up the phone. Eventually, he would discover the reason behind my laughter. I eagerly anticipated that day. Afterwards, we had some disagreements regarding alimony and the division of property. However, with the help of a lawyer, I managed to obtain millions of dollars from Everett. He agreed to pay alimony for his share, not wanting to cause any emotional distress during my pregnancy. 2 years passed without any contact until one day I received a heart-wrenching email from him. Please, Scarlett, I beg you, please listen to me, it read. Reluctantly, I answered the phone call that followed shortly after. As expected, it was about the child born between him and Stella. Well, children often resemble their parents, don't they? I remarked. Of course, who else would they resemble? He replied. Yeah, I said. Apparently, the baby girl doesn't resemble the beautiful Stella at all. I started to say that she was only 2 years old, but the sentence was left unfinished. As time passes, Shell will undergo significant changes as she grows older. However, he remained unconvinced, finding it peculiar that there was no resemblance whatsoever. Well, I suppose that does make sense. When I inquired, suppressing my laughter, doesn't the baby resemble you? He suddenly became anxious and exclaimed loudly, no, she doesn't, but it's all right. It's perfectly fine that she doesn't resemble me. In secret, he conducted a DNA test to investigate Stella's potential infidelity, but the results unequivocally confirmed that both Everett and Stella were indeed the biological parents of the child. Therefore, there is no doubt that she is your child. Everett refused to let the conversation end there. Hey, remember 2 years ago when I informed you about Stella's pregnancy, you laughed quite a bit. Do you possess any inside information? Wow, he actually remembered that. Well, yes. Actually, Stella and I attended the same high school and were in the same year. Although we were never in the same class during those 3 years, so I didn't know much about her. I do recall her being the daughter of a landlord and having a haughty, unpleasant demeanor. During a class reunion approximately 2 years ago, the topic of Stella and her decision to undergo plastic surgery arose. Stella, who was self-conscious about her appearance due to her single eyelids, small eyes, button nose, and slight overbite, apparently underwent multiple procedures at a renowned cosmetic surgery clinic in New York after graduating high school. Since she did not attend the reunion, I was unable to see her face, but a friend later sent me some before and after pictures. The advancements in American cosmetic surgery are truly remarkable. When I shared this information with Everett, he found it difficult to believe. Initially, I believed Stella's innocent facade, but I soon realized that there were no childhood or graduation album photos of her. Was I deceived? Darn it, Stella pretended to be submissive while we were in a relationship, but it turns out she was unfaithful to me multiple times and ended up getting divorced. She has been taken to court for spousal support by several of her ex-husband's wives. I'm going to confront her about this. Maybe you shouldn't. Huh, why not? Well, the child doesn't resemble you either, correct? Typically, it is said that girls take after their fathers. When I mentioned this, Everett was speechless. She can't possibly resemble you. You've also undergone cosmetic surgery, haven't you? How did you? When I moved out of the apartment we shared 2 years ago, I stumbled upon your high school graduation album. You looked completely different, so it was quite a shock. After seeing that album, I understood why he never introduced me to his college friends, insisted on a modest wedding, and only invited a few coworkers. It's likely that Everett had plastic surgery while he was in college and feared being exposed by his friends back then. I don't think there's anything wrong with cosmetic surgery, but you have to consider the possibility that your child may resemble your original appearance. What should I do? What do you mean, what should you do? Just fulfill your role as a normal father. The test results conclusively proved that the child is indeed yours. With that, I ended the call, blocked his number and email address. He's such a narrow-minded individual, simply because the appearance of the child did not meet his expectations. 1 year later, an acquaintance who had a child the same age as Everett's showed me a photo of her child starting kindergarten, and the child was cute. The child simply did not resemble the present Stella or Everett. My acquaintance, who became friends with Stella, mentioned that Stella also anticipated her child to resemble Everett after the surgery. My acquaintance has to endure her constant complaints, stating that she should not have given birth to such a child. Truly, they are the most terrible couple, and it appears that Everett cheated again, so my acquaintance even received divorce advice from Stella. Everett is such a fool. If he ends up divorcing Stella, he will have to pay spousal support and child support. Moreover, since Stella is a wealthy woman, there is no telling how much money she could receive if she hires a skilled attorney. Furthermore, according to my acquaintance who became friends with Stella, even the local children are aware of her cosmetic surgery, and her daughter is being excluded at kindergarten, with others telling her, "Your mom is actually unattractive." It is a relief that Stella's parents appear to love their granddaughter, but it is truly unfortunate for the child. Well, it is none of my concern anyway. As for myself, I managed to lease an apartment in a convenient location for commuting. Now that the distance is shorter, I can do cleaning and laundry after returning home, and I can dedicate my free time solely to pursuing my personal passions. I have strengthened my bond with a fellow classmate who has experienced a divorce, whom I reconnected with during a reunion. As a result, I am relishing in a relaxed and enjoyable lifestyle.